Should we start with the weekend? Dundee United, I mean, mathematically, they could still stay up. Does that pose a kind of strange opposition for you? Do you expect them to come and try and win 5-0?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, with a fair amount of thought about it since we all played on Wednesday, and it probably becomes a little bit unpredictable in terms of what Jim does with his team. I think we just have to prepare as best we possibly can. But I think we could probably all in this room have a stab at how they're going to set up, what they're going to do. I don't know if any of us would get it right, which again, I don't mean any disrespect in that. I think just the situation that they find themselves in. I think the one constant that I would imagine, having played against Jim's teams in more than one occasion, is that as long as there's a chance, they're going to be fighting, and they're going to come here and they're going to try and win by a margin. So we have to brace ourselves for that. I believe Dundee United players and staff will feel that they owe that to their supporters, so that's what we have to expect. And it's just important that we go and try and finish off the season with as best a performance as we can. We'll be going out, the same as I've said to you, every single week. We'll be going out to try and win the game. But I think you're right. I think it does become a slightly different situation from kind of what we've faced in recent weeks. As much as teams have been fighting for their life, it almost gets to that point where you need exact number of goals and all that types of stuff. So it can change the mentality a little bit. My job's to make sure it doesn't change too much in our approach and in our players' mindset.
Just looking at your position, obviously it's the last game of the season since you've come in. You came in with the team right at the foot of the table. You're now 7th, could finish top of the bottom half. Only 2 defeats in 14. If you'd been told that on the day you arrived, would you have believed that? Did you believe that you and this team had the ability to do that?
Again, I think a lot of you guys I've spent some time speaking to, which has been great. It's been really good. And I think you've kind of got my mindset and you understand I've never been a guy that's going to tell you what I think is going to happen in 3 months' time. I think if you just go to the fundamentals of the team and how the team's functioning and still is functioning to this day, that's been the most important part for me, because there's so many aspects of what we do, in terms of how we work on the training park and how that translates to what we do in the park. So take out the results, take out the goals scored, the clean sheets and everything else. I believe that'll all come if we can get it right, and probably what my vision was of the Motherwell team looking like. And probably the best bit I can give you within that is that it's functioning very close to how I had imagined. The run of results, I think I spoke to some of the guys after it on Wednesday. The fact that Motherwell find themselves, only in my time, and I say this, I think Rangers only are the team through that 13-14 game stretch that maybe have a point more than us. I think we're maybe a point ahead of Celtic within that, which is terrific. It's great, but again, none of us could have told you that we were going to get that exact amount of points. How many games we would have won or lost in that period. I think it's just important that we focus on performance. I think it's important that we focus on how we conduct ourselves every single day when we come into the football club, and for that I've been really pleased.
There is a chance that if you win, you can finish with more points than the team in 6th place. How well does that bode for next season? How happy, how confident are you? And I don't know, you don't want to give grand predictions for next year, but how good a place do you feel?
You've got to take huge confidence from it. I'll never shy away from that. I'm not trying to downsize any of the achievements recently and how good the team have been. But it's a different season. There's a transfer window in there. There's a summer. There's a multitude of things that can happen. I think we all know in Scottish football, this unpredictable world of Scottish football that we live in, that there's going to be any number of changes in squads and budgets and all the different things. So again, control the controllables. What can we control? We know the set time that we're going to have off. I think we're going to be off 3 weeks, which is a really short period of time. And then we have our pre-seasons planned already. We know where we're going to go for pre-season. We know the games we're going to play. We know the sessions that we're going to do and the hours that the players will be on the park. And again, for me, I know it sounds a wee bit military in terms of the planning, but that's how I like it to be. And it's just important that I know the stages that the players are going to go through. But the other aspects of who moves on and who offers what for players and all the rest of it, I can't control. But as long as the players know that this is the work we're going to get through, then I always believe in that. I hate the word process, I detest it actually, but you have to believe in what you do. You have to believe in the stages and the milestones that you're going to go through, and believe that that's going to have an impact on the new season. The one thing the players know, in answer to your question, is that they've showed that they're very, very competitive in this league, no matter who we've played against, be it Rangers, Celtic or any of the teams in the bottom 6.
Given how well your side's performed since you've come in, there's now less need for recruitment in the summer?
Again, recruitment, yeah, any manager will tell you that they want to put their own stamp on a squad. Whether you're able to do that or not is depending. Various factors are reference. Again, whether people want to come in and make big offers for our players and stuff like that, then that may have that situation. Again, I need to go on record in saying, as we sit just now, we don't have this endless supply of money. So we're not sitting here saying that there's going to be 6, 7, 8 changes, but you know, there can be a domino effect whether people are interested in some of your players, and that might influence what you can do in the transfer market. I think we all know that Motherwell's never been a club that spend vast amounts of money and pay transfer fees for players. So again, that kind of shoehorns us into we know the pond that potentially we would be fishing in if we have the opportunity to make 1 or 2 changes.
We've seen obviously sides like Celtic, since they clinched the title, kind of struggle for the motivation. Do you think the battle for 7th place is enough for your players to get up for it this weekend?
Yeah, I think you could see that. I think you've seen that since we were in a position where everybody felt we were safe from relegation. I think you've seen the motivation in every single game. I thought the first 45 minutes on Wednesday were good. I thought we performed. I thought we played really well in the first 45 minutes. And in the second half, we were disappointed. We were disappointed how we play. If we were comfortable and happy with what we were doing, you know, you wouldn't have seen us coming out and being a bit angry about the end result and the performance. So I don't expect anything different on Sunday. And I know that the players, myself and the staff want to cap off the season and we're in front of your home fans, which is always a nice one at the end of the season, but it's a nice one if you've played well and it's a nice one if you've won a game. I acknowledge the achievements over the last 3.5 months, 14 games, whatever it's been, I acknowledge that. But you know, there's no medals getting handed out at the end of it either, so we have to just make sure that we finish off this period and try and set ourselves up for what comes in the new season.
Sure, Dundee United are coming here fighting for their lives. Last time they were here, they won 2-1. I can't imagine you're the guy that's going to just accept that.
No, again, I spoke about that game afterwards. I thought that we dominated the game by and large. I thought we had by far the best chances in the game. So I always use those wee bits as motivation. It's nothing personal against Dundee United, but when you face the same group of players, when you feel you probably could have and should have won the game, it's one of only 2 defeats for us. Both have been at home. The other one was against Rangers. So it gives us a wee opportunity to go and see if we can go and beat Dundee United and look after ourselves. We know that they still have a major cause and a major fight. They'll not be giving anything up. So we accept that, we acknowledge it, but it's more about us. It's more about how we try and acquit ourselves, and I'm really keen for the players to put on another show. We're missing a few players, so it's about how we adjust, and it's about how we can maybe reshape our team and give opportunities to guys that have been training well every single day and been great pros. It's how we give them an opportunity and see them step forward and add something to the group, which I always knew was there as well. It's just there's been a level of consistency that we've not had to make too many changes, but I'm fairly certain you'll see a few on Sunday.
It's also not just your last game of the season, last home game as well, so it's the last hour for the fans.
Yeah, man, it's been important. I spoke about the fans an awful lot. They've been terrific since I came in. They've been terrific since we've been winning games and been on a good run. And I just encourage that to stay, but to go back and bore you guys again, that we have to do something for it. I started with that in my first game. No use sitting asking fans to cheer you and clap you and high five you all the time when you're not performing well. They'll make it known if you're not playing well, which is fine. We take it in the chin. But if we are doing well and we're showing full commitment, then I think you can see that Fir Park can be a real good atmosphere.
And this is the kind of time of the year where you start to look at the next season as well. Have you made any progress in terms of keeping players on for next season?
No changes to the situation. You'll be the first to know that if anything changes, anybody accepts contract offers, anybody's leaving, then as always the club will be open and upfront about that and we'll be transparent with it, but there's no changes to any of these situations just now.
How much confidence do you take into next season? I know you don't want to look that far ahead, but how much confidence can you take in as a group, as a manager and as the players?
For everybody that's been involved in it, yeah, you take a degree of confidence, but new season, as I've already said earlier on there a few minutes ago, that depending on what happens in terms of transfer markets, players staying, players going, budgets, million different variables, but it becomes a new season. For a reason. We've seen teams punch well above their weight before, finish top end of the table, and then that goes to relegation. So I think sometimes if you get a bit comfortable and a bit happy in your own skin and feel that you've conquered this game, then that's when it's got a habit of coming back and biting you. So it's about making sure that we don't have that mindset, which I'll be fully focused on along with the players and the staff to make sure that we work hard in pre-season and we tee ourselves up for a new campaign.
Can I ask you, do you set kind of deadlines for the players who are out of contract you've offered new deals to? Does it you just expect it maybe to push on as soon as some of these games out?
I think it can be a natural course, but of course we don't want to be sitting 4 or 5 weeks from now. I think that for a lot of the guys that's now in the knowledge that we're getting towards that stage where a decision's made, the season's almost done, and I always think probably as a player, when that season finishes, you have to make a decision one way or another. So I think that probably gives you an indication that we're getting very close to that stage, and we want a wee bit of clarity, because I think the club's been fair with their offers. I think the club's been fair by acknowledging who we want to keep and who players that we've spoken to and how those situations go. So I think the next part that comes off it is that we get that wee bit in return from players, representatives, etc., so that we can get to a point where everybody knows what they're doing next season. I'm not going to give you an exact date or a deadline on it, but I think we've been fair, and I think it's approaching that stage where we just want that kind of black and white answer of it's going to be one way or the other.
Can I shoot back a couple of players? We saw Ricky Lamy saying the other day he had a tough few months with health issues. Are you happy that seems to have been sorted out now?
Yeah.
Hopefully be a big player for you next season.
Yeah, we were delighted with that, but delighted with it. It sounds terrible. Ricky's been carrying a bit of a problem. He had the hernia operation on Tuesday, but he has been carrying it for quite a period of time. We tried to get to a point where we felt we were safe, and at that point I was trying to push the operation through. I need to pay testament to Ricky, because a lot of players would have wanted to get that operation done instantly. Ricky still felt that he could offer us something, that he's still been available. I know he would want to play more game time, but such has been the form of the guys at the back, then it's been difficult to get into the team. But full marks in the modern day, where I sometimes think that players are quite happy to miss training sessions and games. Ricky hasn't missed a single thing, so delighted to get him in that wee bit earlier, which gives him a chance to start the pre-season and make sure that he's fully up to speed. So that's went well, and I'm delighted that's managed to go through in the time scale that it has, and we're not leaving it to that kind of last few days to get him in, and then he misses a chunk of pre-season.
Rico Danzaki, I know he's been carrying an injury as well. Has that been a frustration? Because from speaking to people, maybe always going to take a wee bit of time for him to settle in and adapt, and maybe that's eating into that kind of process. Do you expect him to be kind of firing at the start of next season?
Listen, again, Riku was brought to the football club. I never signed Riku. It's been really hard to get him on the park. There's been a number of issues in terms of his fitness. He'd been back fit for a couple of days. He's had to drop back out. I think he's been doing a little bit of running earlier this week. So it's been a frustration for him. It's been a frustration for the football club. It's been very much stop-start. And obviously, Riku sits with a contract at the football club. He was brought here for a reason. But prior to that, when he was fit, it was difficult for him to get into the team as well. I think we only go based on results and performances in training and what we're seeing on the pitch on a Saturday. So it's been difficult for him to get in, and it's hard when it's that change of culture, change of country as well. So I acknowledge all these factors, but these things are all taken into consideration when there's decisions made on who plays. But I've been very loyal to guys that have been fit and able to play for us on a Saturday, and that's kind of what I believe in.
Do you see good potential in him for when he does get fitter and adapts to Scottish football?
Yeah, Riku, technically you can understand why he was brought to the football club for a particular style of play. That has changed. That's substantially changed in terms of formation. Riku would probably indicate that he's not a number 10. I've not been playing with a number 10. At times I see it a completely different way, so I think that would probably let you acknowledge why it can be difficult for him at times to get in. The guys that have been playing in his area of the park, very simply, when everybody was fit, I felt had been performing and showing a bit more. So, as much as the injuries and stuff like that, it's not all purely been the injury. Sometimes it's that form and showing that you can add to what we've got.
Just for the weekend, team news-wise, Callum Butcher, he's struggling after
Yeah, I think in terms of the park, I think there was Callum went to plant his foot on the pitch. I'm not so sure that we would have had the issue if it was probably on that surface out there. But you know, it's an awkward one, just planting his foot. I don't think there's much give in the AstroTurf, as we all know. And he felt a pop in his foot, so he's got a scan today, and we'll find out the extent of that injury. It's a real frustration because he's been excellent for us. He's been absolutely outstanding. When we talk about pitches and all the rest of it, it was so innocuous in terms of planting your foot, putting your foot down, and I genuinely don't think it would have happened out on that pitch at Fir Park, but it has done, and we just hope that the significance of the injury isn't too bad.
You had a pop, that never sounds good.
No, it doesn't. But again, that probably shows you that it wasn't great. So we are disappointed, but I would hope that it's not too long a period that he's out. And it is a frustration when you see your centre back going to jump for a ball and his kind of foot sticks in the surface and he ends up with what looks like a pretty nasty injury at the back of it.